Waves of protest and rebellion crash against governments across the world. From the streets of capital cities to the digital forums of the internet, people rise up, demanding change. They often cite legitimate grievances, corruption, economic hardship, or a lack of freedom. These movements appear spontaneous, born from the genuine will of the people. Yet, beneath the surface of these seemingly organic uprisings, a more complex and unsettling question often emerges. Are these rebellions entirely homegrown? Or is there sometimes an unseen hand, a hidden architect, skillfully guiding the chaos from the shadows? This question leads us into the murky world of covert operations, where intelligence agencies can shape events without firing a single shot. The theory of a hidden hand is not mere conspiracy. It is rooted in the long history of espionage and foreign intervention. Nations have always sought to influence their rivals from within, to weaken them and secure their own strategic interests. In this modern era, one intelligence agency is frequently mentioned in whispers when discussing such sophisticated operations: Israel's Mossad. Known for its audacity, precision, and global reach, Mossad has built a reputation for achieving the impossible. The idea that it could be involved in fueling global unrest is not a far-fetched fantasy, but a logical extension of its established operational doctrine, which has always prioritized intelligence and influence over conventional military power. Consider the patterns. A stable nation suddenly finds itself engulfed in sectarian violence. A government friendly to one global power is suddenly besieged by well-organized, well-funded protests that seem to appear overnight. The media narrative is quickly dominated by specific talking points that amplify division and delegitimize the ruling authorities. These are the potential fingerprints of a masterfully executed psychological operation. While local discontent provides the initial spark, a foreign intelligence service can act as an accelerant, fanning the flames of dissent into a raging inferno that serves its own geopolitical agenda, leaving the world to wonder about the true origins of the fire. This essay explores the methods and motivations behind such a strategy. We will delve into how an agency like Mossad could theoretically orchestrate these events, not with armies, but with spies. We will examine its use of intelligence networks, cyber warfare, and psychological manipulation to sow discord from within a target nation. The goal is to understand how these covert actions work, how they leverage powerful alliances, and what nations can do to protect themselves. This is not about dismissing the real struggles of people, but about encouraging a critical eye, urging citizens and leaders alike to question whether every popular uprising is as spontaneous as it seems. Mossad's strength does not come from tanks or fighter jets. It comes from people. It operates through a vast clandestine network of human assets, known as katsas, case officers, and their recruited agents, or sayanim helpers. These individuals are not soldiers in uniform, but are deeply embedded within the very fabric of their target societies. They are government officials with access to state secrets, journalists who can shape public opinion, and business leaders with economic influence. They are academics, NGO workers, and community organizers. This web of spies allows Mossad to see, hear, and influence events from the inside, making its actions nearly invisible to the outside world. The recruitment and placement of these assets is a patient and meticulous art. It involves identifying individuals with access, motivation, and vulnerability. Motivation can range from ideology and financial reward to blackmail or a simple desire for adventure. Once recruited, these agents are not typically asked to commit dramatic acts of sabotage. Instead, their power lies in subtle influence. A government insider might leak a sensitive document that embarrasses the ruling party. A media contact could be guided to frame a story in a way that fuels public anger. A corporate executive might make a business decision that creates economic instability, providing fertile ground for protest. This strategy of infiltration gives Mossad extraordinary leverage. Instead of launching a frontal attack, it can manipulate a country's internal dynamics, turning its own institutions against each other. Imagine a scenario where Mossad wishes to destabilize a nation. Its agents within the media could begin publishing a coordinated series of articles highlighting government corruption. Simultaneously, its assets in non-governmental organizations could start organizing small-scale protests. At the same time, an agent inside a key ministry might lose a file containing evidence of financial mismanagement, which then mysteriously appears in the hands of the media. Each action appears separate and legitimate, but together they create a powerful narrative of state failure. The effectiveness of this human network is amplified by its secrecy and deniability. The actions are carried out by citizens of the target country, making it difficult to trace them back to a foreign power. The journalist is simply doing their job. The activist is fighting for a just cause. The bureaucrat made a simple mistake. Mossad remains in the shadows, a puppeteer pulling strings that are all but invisible. This is the essence of its operational philosophy, to achieve its objectives without leaving fingerprints, shaping reality while appearing to be merely an observer. This is how a small nation like Israel can project immense power on the global stage. In the 21st century, the battlefield has expanded from physical space to the digital realm, and Mossad has proven to be a master of this new domain. Cyber warfare is not just about hacking into critical infrastructure, though that is certainly part of the playbook. It is also about the weaponization of information itself. Through sophisticated cyber capabilities, an agency like Mossad can conduct digital surveillance on an unprecedented scale, monitoring the communications of government officials, activists, and ordinary citizens. This provides a treasure trove of intelligence, revealing vulnerabilities, mapping social networks, and identifying key influencers who can be manipulated. This intelligence forms the foundation for modern psychological operations, or PSYOPs. The goal of these operations is to divide and conquer a society from within. Using fake social media accounts, automated bots, and targeted advertising, Mossad can amplify existing social tensions and create new ones. It can spread disinformation that erodes trust in institutions like the government, the media, and the electoral process. For example, it could create and promote content that pits different ethnic or religious groups against each other. Or it could spread rumors of corruption that turn the public against its leaders, making the ground fertile for rebellion. The process is surgical. Analysts identify the fault lines in a target society, be they economic, ethnic, or political. Digital operatives then craft specific narratives designed to exploit these divisions. These messages are then pushed out through a network of seemingly authentic online personas and websites, which are then picked up and amplified by unwitting users. A carefully fabricated story about a politician's secret offshore bank account can go viral, sparking public outrage. A doctored video showing police brutality can trigger riots. The digital world becomes an echo chamber where manufactured dissent looks and feels like a genuine grassroots movement. This digital strategy is devastatingly effective because it bypasses traditional defenses. It does not require smuggling weapons or agents across borders. It operates silently through the fiber optic cables that connect the modern world. The result is a population that is angry, polarized, and distrustful, creating the perfect conditions for an uprising. People take to the streets believing they are acting on their own convictions, unaware that their emotions may have been skillfully manipulated by a foreign intelligence agency. This is the new face of warfare, a battle for hearts and minds, fought with algorithms and propaganda on the screens of our phones and computers. No discussion of Mossad's global reach is complete without considering its unique and powerful relationship with the United States. This alliance is more than just a political friendship. It is a deep symbiotic partnership that extends into the highest echelons of intelligence and military cooperation. This connection provides Mossad with an unparalleled force multiplier, giving it access to resources, intelligence, and a degree of political cover that no other intelligence agency of its size can command. The United States government, with its vast global diplomatic and intelligence infrastructure, can become an unwitting or at times witting partner in Mossad's operations. The intelligence sharing between the two nations is legendary. Mossad may provide granular, on-the-ground human intelligence from regions where American access is limited, while the United States can offer vast signals intelligence from its global surveillance networks. This fusion of capabilities means that when Mossad plans an operation, it may be doing so with a level of insight that is enhanced by American assets. This relationship can lend legitimacy to Israeli actions. When the United States publicly supports a particular political outcome or validates a narrative, it carries immense weight on the world stage, potentially aligning with a covert campaign Mossad is already waging in the shadows. Recent events, such as the June 2025 Israeli strike on Iran, highlight this dynamic. The public support from the Trump administration not only provided political top cover for a major military action, but also signaled to the world that the United States endorsed Israel's aggressive posture. This alignment can be exploited by Mossad. If the United States government is publicly calling for regime change in a particular country, it creates a permissive environment for Mossad to conduct covert operations aimed at destabilizing that very regime. The lines between American foreign policy and Israeli intelligence objectives can become blurred, with each side leveraging the other to achieve its goals. This partnership, however, is not without its complexities. It raises critical questions about sovereignty and influence. To what extent can Mossad operate under the protective umbrella of its American ally to shape events in third-party countries? When a pro-democracy movement emerges that aligns perfectly with both United States and Israeli interests, is it a coincidence? This strategic alliance allows Mossad to punch far above its weight, turning its operations into events of global significance. It can transform a regional intelligence agency into a shaper of world events, using the political and strategic might of a superpower to amplify its own covert rebellions. One of the most sophisticated tools in Mossad's arsenal is, well, the use of front organizations, particularly non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, to provide a mask of legitimacy for its operations. These fake or sometimes co-opted NGOs are established under the guise of noble causes like, promoting human rights, democracy, or humanitarian aid. They operate out in the open, host conferences, publish reports, and even raise funds, all while serving as a covert platform for intelligence activities. This kind of cover allows Mossad operatives and assets to gain access to target countries, build networks, and influence civil society without raising too much suspicion. These front NGOs are honestly masters of public relations. They can channel foreign funding to local activist groups, providing them with the resources to organize protests, print materials, and sustain long-term campaigns. To the outside world, this looks like international support for a grassroots freedom movement. But in reality, it may be a carefully managed operation to nurture and direct a rebellion. The NGO can also be used to gather intelligence, since its staff can travel freely, meet with influential figures, and assess the political climate under the protection of their humanitarian mission. They become, in effect, the perfect vehicle for infiltrating a society at its most fundamental levels. Dual citizenship is another powerful asset in this strategy. An individual holding both an Israeli passport and the passport of another country, let's say the United States, Canada, or a European nation, can operate with a level of freedom and deniability that is, honestly, invaluable. They can enter a target country using their non-Israeli passport, avoiding the heightened scrutiny that an Israeli citizen might face. These individuals can seamlessly blend into expatriate communities, business circles, or academic institutions. Their dual nationality provides a plausible cover story and even a layer of diplomatic protection should their activities ever come under investigation. This combination of front NGOs and dual citizen operatives creates a, formidable force for covert influence. Just imagine an American accented human rights advocate from a US-based NGO arriving in a country to monitor an election. This individual, a dual citizen working for Mossad, can then connect with local dissidents, provide them with secure communication equipment, and advise them on protest strategies, all under the banner of promoting democracy. If questioned, their American passport and NGO credentials provide a pretty powerful shield. This is how rebellions can be cultivated, with the fingerprints of the intelligence agency carefully wiped clean by layers of legitimate-seeming cover. Faced with the threat of covert foreign interference designed to fuel domestic rebellions, nations really have to adopt a proactive and multi-layered defense strategy. This is not about succumbing to paranoia, but about practicing prudent statecraft to protect national sovereignty and internal stability. The first and honestly most crucial line of defense is the development of a strong, professional, and independent domestic intelligence and counterintelligence agency. This body must be well-resourced and politically insulated, with a mandate to identify and neutralize foreign intelligence operations on its own soil, regardless of the country of origin. Its primary task is to see the unseen and, connect the dots that others miss. Secondly, governments must implement stringent oversight of foreign non-governmental organizations and their funding streams. While genuine humanitarian and advocacy groups play a vital role in civil society, the potential for their misuse as front organizations is real. This requires transparency laws that mandate the disclosure of all foreign funding sources for NGOs operating within the country. Financial intelligence units should be tasked with tracking suspicious money flows that could be used to finance protests or political subversion. This is not about shutting down civil society, but about ensuring that its actors are who they claim to be and are not serving a hidden foreign agenda. A third critical measure is a rigorous background vetting process for individuals appointed to sensitive positions in government, the military, and critical infrastructure. This process must include a thorough examination of foreign ties, financial histories, and any potential vulnerabilities that could be exploited for blackmail or recruitment by a foreign intelligence service. Special attention should be paid to dual citizens in high-stakes roles, not to discriminate, but to ensure their ultimate loyalty is to the nation they serve. This internal housekeeping is essential to prevent the kind of insider infiltration that can bring a state to its knees. Finally, a robust national cybersecurity posture is, well, non-negotiable. This involves protecting government networks, critical infrastructure, and telecommunication systems from foreign espionage. It also means developing the capability to detect and counter digital disinformation campaigns. This requires a partnership between government agencies, private tech companies, and the media to identify and expose foreign-led psychological operations. By hardening these digital and institutional defenses, a nation can make itself a much more difficult target for any foreign power seeking to manipulate its society and spark a rebellion from within. It is a constant battle of wits, but one that must be fought to preserve national integrity. The dramatic Israeli assault on Iran in June 2025 serves as a powerful, real-world illustration of the principles we've just discussed. While the operation was overtly military, its success was undeniably built on a foundation of superior intelligence and infiltration, the classic hallmarks of Mossad's operational style. The ability to precisely target and eliminate much of Iran's military high command and key nuclear scientists in a single coordinated surprise attack speaks to a breathtaking level of penetration. This was not achieved through satellite imagery alone. It required human assets, spies, deep inside Iran's most secret and heavily guarded circles. This event really showcases how intelligence gathering directly enables strategic outcomes. The information needed to map the locations, routines, and security protocols of Iran's top leadership would have taken years of patient, high-risk work by Mossad Qassas and their local agents. These agents likely existed within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the scientific community, and maybe even the administrative staff supporting these institutions. They would have provided the critical intelligence that turned a list of names into a set of coordinates on a map, allowing for the surgical precision that defined the attack and minimized the need for a broader, more destructive ground invasion. Furthermore, the attack on Iran's nuclear facilities and the South Pass gas field demonstrates a strategy aimed at crippling the regime's power from multiple angles. It was not just a military strike, but also an economic one, as evidenced by the immediate spike in global oil and gas prices. This dual-front attack, military and economic, is designed to create immense internal pressure on the Iranian government. By disrupting its economy and decapitating its military leadership, the operation aims to sow chaos, weaken the state's control, and perhaps create an environment where internal dissent and rebellion could finally boil over and topple the regime, achieving a long-standing Israeli strategic goal. The aftermath, with strong US political support and widespread global disruption, really underscores the broader geopolitical context. The operation was not conducted in a vacuum. It was a calculated move that leveraged the US-Israel alliance for political cover and was likely timed to maximize instability within Iran. It serves as a stark reminder that Mossad's activities, whether covert or overt, are not random acts of aggression. They are components of a long-term, sophisticated strategy to neutralize threats and reshape the regional balance of power in Israel's favor, using intelligence as the primary weapon to enable decisive action. The notion that an intelligence agency like Mossad would actively foster instability in other nations may seem, well, counterintuitive. Why create chaos when predictability is so often the goal of foreign policy? The answer lies in a cold, calculated geopolitical calculus centered on national self-interest and survival. For a small country like Israel, surrounded by historical adversaries, a strategy of proactive disruption can be seen as a form of defense. By keeping its rivals internally focused, mired in their own domestic turmoil, they are less capable of projecting power outward and posing a direct threat to Israeli security. A neighbor busy fighting a civil war is not a neighbor planning an invasion. This strategy is about shaping the strategic environment. If a hostile regime is on the verge of acquiring nuclear weapons, as was the concern with Iran, instigating a rebellion or popular uprising that leads to its collapse is a far more permanent solution than a limited military strike. It eliminates the threat at its source. Similarly, if a country is providing support to groups like Hezbollah or Hamas, fomenting internal unrest can disrupt those supply lines and weaken the proxies. The goal is to create a regional landscape that is, if not friendly, then at least too fractured and preoccupied to be effectively hostile. Furthermore, controlled chaos can create opportunities. When a long-standing government falls, a power vacuum emerges. This provides a chance for new leaders to rise, leaders who might be more amenable to Israeli or Western interests. Through its networks, Mossad could subtly support a preferred faction within a protest movement, helping to ensure that if the rebellion succeeds, the new government will be one that is more aligned with its strategic objectives. It is a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess, where the fall of one king can lead to the coronation of another, more compliant one. This transforms instability from a risk into a strategic tool. Ultimately, this approach is rooted in a deeply pragmatic, and some would say cynical, worldview. It operates on the principle that it is better to fight a potential enemy on their own territory, using their own internal divisions, than to wait for that threat to arrive at your doorstep. It is the ultimate expression of the old intelligence adage, if you want peace, prepare for war, reinterpreted for the modern age of covert action. The endgame is not chaos for its own sake, but a carefully managed instability designed to secure Israel's long-term survival and dominance in a perpetually volatile region. The rebellions are merely a means to a much larger strategic end. The world is a complex stage, and the dramas that unfold upon it are rarely as simple as they appear. The line between a genuine grassroots rebellion and a foreign-manipulated uprising can be incredibly thin and honestly, deliberately blurred. Acknowledging the potential for covert intervention by agencies like Mossad is not to deny the reality of oppression or the legitimacy of protest. People suffer under corrupt and tyrannical regimes, and their desire for a better future is real and powerful. However, it is crucial to understand that these genuine grievances can be, and often are, exploited by external powers for their own geopolitical gain. For citizens around the world, this calls for a new level of critical awareness. When protests erupt, we must ask probing questions. Who is funding the organizers? Where is the media narrative coming from, and who benefits from it? Is the language of the protest designed to unite people for a common good, or to deepen existing divisions along ethnic, religious, or sectarian lines? We must learn to distinguish between the organic anger of the people and the synthetic outrage manufactured in the digital laboratories of a foreign intelligence service. This vigilance is the first line of defense for any free society. For national leaders and security institutions, the challenge is even greater. They must build the resilience to withstand these sophisticated campaigns of influence. This means investing in their own intelligence capabilities, securing their digital infrastructure, and demanding transparency from all organizations operating within their borders. Protecting national sovereignty in the 21st century is no longer just about defending physical borders. It is about defending the integrity of the national conversation and the trust that citizens have in their own institutions. This is a battle that must be fought with intelligence, diligence, and a commitment to truth. Ultimately, the story of Mossad's potential influence in global rebellions is a cautionary tale about the nature of modern power. It reminds us that the most significant conflicts are not always fought with armies, but are often won or lost in the shadows, in the realm of information, and in the hearts and minds of the people. As we navigate an increasingly turbulent world, the ability to discern truth from manipulation is not just an intellectual exercise. It is an essential act of self-preservation for any nation wishing to chart its own course, free from the pull of unseen strings. The peace of a nation may depend on it.